Jesus Christ. Goodness. Can anybody hear us now? Okay. I still see the microphone doing that little. Yeah, it does. Now we're on. Okay. So first I had the headphones plugged into the microphone. And now there's that thing. Is it still staticky because we don't hear that's volume all the way down? That's echo. We don't want that. I know. I don't know. Tell us what's going on, guys. We oh shoot. I forgot what I was gonna say. I had the microphones plugged in to the headphone department. The microphones were not plugged in. Bless you. And then the actual plug-in from the phone recording device to our system was not plugged in. So I guess
too many.
Three. Yeah. I don't know.
So hopefully you can hear us now.
I know. I'm gonna try to pull us up on my phone to see. Yeah. Podcast thing.
If anybody ever listens to podcasts, normally they are not marketed. They're pre-recorded. And then, yeah, I can hear myself.
I did put on a juice background, so hopefully it's okay here. Okay, they can hear us now.
Okay.
So we were talking about today's date is June 24th, 2025. It is Tuesday. We're live every Tuesday at 1 unless we have something else planned in life. And we were going to have a scheduled vendor here with us today, but they had a family emergency, so we changed our mind. I don't know really to what, except for we were going to talk about technology
and advertising and how to get your maybe more sales for you, right?
Yeah, so I know we talk a lot about how it is to be a vendor within the mall. Today, I think we shift it just a little bit more to as we are a business owner, technology in the life of a business owner, and how do you merchandise or how do you advertise effectively, especially when you're coming from a small community that doesn't have a lot of outsources as far as how you can get your business name across. Right. And we can touch a little bit on how that helps you as specific to our type of business of antique vendors, how that can help your sales grow, which then helps our business grow, and so on. I still feel like I'm extremely close to the camera, but
I feel like you're not even
I don't want myself on the camera. There we go.
And I'm wearing the coolest, ugliest thing I own.
Mine has holes in it. You can see through it.
I was cleaning out the back room, and
we kind of matched. I mean, we look coordinated a little.
I even feel dirty already.
You just say boobs on air?
Yeah, because I'm cleaning out the workshop area, which has been a disaster for over a year, and I can finally see where I'm at. Can you believe that? You haven't seen that?
No, I probably don't. I don't even know if I will. I gotta move the booth.
Yeah, you can move the booth. And I almost going to tell you moving in a different spot because I almost sold that one down because you that you don't know nothing about because you wasn't here last week. Yes, there's some changes.
So, technology, we suck at.
We suck.
apparently. 'Cause we can't even get sound to work on the thing that, like, we're on a podcast, and the number one thing we need for a podcast is sound, and we screw it up every freaking week.
Yeah.
Every week we have problems with sound. I don't know why.
I don't know. I never pay attention to how you do it. 'Cause this thing is way too complicated for me. Maybe I should learn how, and then we could both do it quicker. I don't know.
That's a giant
So-
gumball machine.
Yeah, but
I got cavities filled with very speaking gumballs. My mouth is just now numb. When I smile, I feel a little bit, hold it down.
I'm not even going to speak. I haven't.
You haven't wondered the last time you had them.
Don't ask.
So therefore you have no idea. I didn't think I did either. They weren't bothering me. I had 6 of them before I got pregnant last time. 2 times ago, I think. 5 cats. And I said no. When I got pregnant, I was so nauseous, so I was like, I'm not doing it. And then I went back, and they were still there. They didn't go
It
away.
didn't go away.
So yesterday I had 3 of them filled, and I have the other 2 to get filled yet a different week because they didn't want me to like go paralyzed one day, you know.
Fun.
That happens with me. Anyway, so technology. What do you got to say about it?
What do you say about it? Technology sucks. It's great if you know how to use it.
We're using it right now.
We are using it.
But this is the form of advertisement that we use.
podcast
The podcasting.
or lives, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But you do put it on YouTube and Apple Podcast.
Yeah. Yep.
So there's more than one platform that it goes on.
Mm-hmm.
It's always wise to do everything
More
than one platform. So Instagram, Facebook, YouTube with this, and that with Apple. I don't
Right.
even know what it's called. Apple what?
Apple Podcast. So, advertising in general, we use technology for every bit of it, right? We have,
Yeah.
going down here. We use it to create our advertisement pieces. We wouldn't be able to effectively have our business and successfully advertise without the technology yet. So it's very, very important to us. And internet in general is the very most important thing to us. And we have some struggle in the area with great service when it comes to internet. So we do have some issues here and there out of our control a lot of times, but we appreciate it a lot when it works.
Yeah.
So what are our main things that we do here at Wheel and Spoke for advertising are in-house videos for sure.
Right.
So Facebook and all of our platforms help us out tremendously when it comes to advertising. Plus it's free. And you as the viewers, when you see those little postings that a lot of small businesses do, and they say, the best way yet you can help a small business grow is to like, share, comment, all this stuff. That's because it's no cost to the business for you to do that. And you would be amazed at how many people can be reached in different areas of the world, even, not just in your community, that you exist. So we beat into the vendors' heads, or attempt to, that you have to be present online. You have to do your part in order to make this particular business grow. And it's only beneficial to you because your time and investment is put into this space. So,
You know what I was thinking the other day when I was reading something online? Like, if every person did a one post, everybody did it on the same day about one item in their space, or just showing their space on their page. If everybody did it on one day. You know how many outreaches we would get? It would be
I don't even know what the average is as far as what, like a post, what's the average number that one post?
average. I don't know what average is. Depends. Now, paid posts definitely go out further when you get a couple thousand, sometimes 3,000 to 5,000 people looking. Anything that's live versus just a picture, even reels and stories get more notices and look at and whatnot versus just the picture. I'm looking at see what our insights are because in the back of the Facebook pages there's insights and it tells you what which post actually creates
So
people.
So an example, if a post reaches 100 people, ideally you'd want at least 1 to 5 of those people to interact with that, liking, comment, sharing, all those things. So it generally falls between 1 and 5% engagement. So
Yeah.
that's every 100 people,
Not one person.
you want to try to reach for 5 people reacting to that post for every 100 people who read it or looked at it, which I think our stats really do show that. We have a lot of interaction with a lot of our posts, but then again, that comes from these types of videos and asking for your input and asking for questions. You might have seen last night I put a message out there and it said, we were looking for ideas for a podcast or give us an idea of what you want to hear us talk about. Everybody who comments back on that now has linked themselves to their entire Facebook group. So say, Sherry, you're on here. You said we can hear you now. Okay. Not that it was a planned strategic thing that we couldn't have sound, but now that you've commented on this video, Sherry, now all your friends have seen that you've watched this or connected to this in some way, and it will eventually get across to their feed in the day that we're here. So those types of things help. When we ask questions when we're live on our live sales, having you comment sold the number, that connects to audience. Facebook is crazy intelligent when it comes to the world of advertising. It's so
Beyond my
it's so
knowledge,
complicated
that's for sure.
and so simple at the same time. So it's great to have. It's also a nightmare to have, but it's great to have. So first of all, our biggest thing is we take advantage of our free platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Marketplace even, which
It does
is
take
Facebook
time to
Interactive.
do these things, but that's the only thing it does. Yeah.
Advertisement is probably our most absorbed time
Yes.
consuming
It is
piece.
because the time that we do this, the time that we prep to do things, and not just social advertising. I mean, if we're advertising and you're making most of the flyers and posters and the big signs and the banners, that all takes a ton of time to do. And but those are not free. Those printed advertising banners and such and flyers are not free. They're quite expensive, actually. Even just to get the little flyers that we do that half sheet, those are pricey. But we feel that it's well worth it.
Well, just in general, your statistics of business should be your most expensive cost is your utilities, then your employees, and then your advertising. Those top 3 things are always going to be your top expenses. And if they're not, you're probably not going to succeed that well just because you're not putting the money in where it needs to make your business succeed the right way. So, and then on top of that comes all the maintenance that goes to your building and your land and so on. But those are your top 3 costs. And if you break it down, well, no brainer, you need employees, no brainer, you have to pay your utilities. But a lot of things that people leave out are advertising for their space and their business. And if you don't do that, I don't know how you're going to get yourself out there. It's so hard for us here in this area just because we are in this very small community, rarely secluded area. We're not close to any major near giant cities. City of Portland, I don't even know how many people live in the city of Portland.
I think 6,000. I think I can't remember. I knew the demographics. Now I don't remember. It's been too long. I kind of forget.
In Portland, Indiana, that is. So, city of Portland, Indiana has what's that called? Population is what I was looking for.
Well,
6,233 residents
I thought so.
from the last census in 2024. So, predominantly white, small percentage of ethnic background. We have most residents own their homes. Our community is known for conservative values. So we lack some culture, I would say. So when you're talking, so technology we're talking about today. So we just use technology to learn how to advertise more for our company, right? We just looked up what are our demographics, what do we need to target ourselves for to advertise, what do we need to focus on the most, who are we missing as far as customer base goes, and why are we missing it? Are we not advertising correctly towards our general population? Or are we lacking travelers? You know, do we want to advertise outside of our area to bring new customers in to showcase that we are only 20 minutes away from the major interstates and so on. And we do that. So all those pieces really break down how to use technology to advertise. So, we just learned here live what our area is made up of. So what would we use that information to advertise? We would know that you could also look into the average age of the household owners in the area. Median age is 39.4 years old. So you're talking majority of the people in this area, statistically, I would say, are a general lifespan of around 85 years old, with the average being around 40. So you're advertising to 20 to 85-year-olds. And how do you do that? How do you do that? Because you don't want to only advertise towards those individuals that are your current age, because that won't get you anywhere. And one of my biggest things always is I say not to leave out the older generation as far as those who have, I don't know how to say that. Don't leave out the 60 to 85-year-olds, but they've probably already been established as your customer base. How do you continue to grasp newer guests, newer customers? So you always need to make sure you're up with what's trending. So then again, we're using technology to know what is the trend of collectibles. Not to get so hung up in the idea of what Angie thinks is an antique and what's an antique to myself, right? Just to keep making sure that you know what year it is, because we're in 2025 and statistically 100 years or more is an antique, correct?
Correct.
So that's 1995. 1895.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. 1895.
Well, 1995 would be 100.
Yeah, that's what I said first. You looked at me stupid.
Well, 1895 to 19.
Yeah. Yeah. 1995 to 2025
is what? 30?
30 years. And then, so you got to think back to what actually is an antique, what's vintage, what's collectible, in the current age that you're in, and not just, this is an antique piece because it's from the 1800s or it's 1700s piece, or this isn't vintage. I had this in my home. Well, yeah, you know what? It is. So we try to grasp
different ways to advertise for different areas.
Right. And how we use technology to do that. We research constantly, right? We're always trying to think, we always are looking, and something else, another idea we had to look into to talk about too was networking and the different alike businesses within our area and collaborating and so on, which if any of you are all watching who are ownerships of antique malls and shops and or vivid customers of those places, we are eventually going to get into that. But
we're going to travel to these places.
I don't know. Right? I'm not elaborating on any of that right now. But as far as that goes, we research who is in our area and what are they selling and what kind of customer base do they have, all the way down to the price points of sales there and so on. So technology helps us in every bit of way as far as successful in the business. The advertising is our biggest way we use technology, besides paying bills.
What other ways besides podcasts and just putting a post on Facebook is there to advertise online?
Well, there's
You
lots
could
of
do,
different ads you can do.
you could do a marketplace ad.
Yeah. Well, then that's still Facebook.
I know, but you're not making it post on Facebook. It's
Right. Sure.
It's different.
Using your different outlets.
Yeah.
One thing that we really want to grow in is all the other platforms of social media that's out there. Just because I unfortunately think Facebook might not be as strong as it used to be. So, we're talking Instagram, TikTok. Those things are even kind of fading slightly. X, which I guess
What is it called?
X.
I never heard of it.
It's Twitter. It's rebranded.
Hey, oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I've tried it. So
There's a lot of other ones out there, and we learned that from some of our younger individuals that come in. So
TikTok, I think TikTok's kind of fun, actually. Even from you do the videos. I think it's easier than just comment on there.
sure, for somebody, I mean, people's outlet to go to those things is to forget life and have fun, to escape their current mind. So that helps. That helps you do that.
Right.
Also gets you in trouble because you won't get your shit done.
Because it takes up so much time, right?
Consuming, right? So advertising we use for all those things. Mom had mentioned we use lots of advertising technology to make up advertising displays and signage and flyers. I walked in. I walked in this morning and we had gotten new carts. And one thing I think is one of the harder things with advertising is time and making sure that you're consistent and making sure that once your logo and your name is created, that it is consistently in the customer's face. Your logo is attached to every piece that you make, every signage that you do, every bit of area that you have to advertise on. You want to get it out there. You want to put your logo so that way when they leave here, your logo, or when they're searching online or whatever, it's branded into their head.
I know there's a statistic that tells you how many times somebody has to see something to remember it. I don't remember what that is, but in advertising, that's why you want a logo or special font,
right?
So that people remember it. But it does take several.
How many times you read something is it
before you actually remember
and retain it, right?
What it is. Quite a few times. That's why you want to put it on everything.
Right.
Yeah. And we get, like you said, we got new carts.
Right, and they had advertising on them.
Advertising from the other store that we bought them off of it. Explosion. And so we need to get those changed. I did get the baskets changed. I didn't buy it. I just got the carts. So those aren't changed.
But where I was going with it is there was signage on the cart, and the carts were bought off of Depot, and they said, okay, we need to update our logo, and the best way they could do that was they made their own little signs online, and they added it to their old logo. So they spent money the first time on a vinyl cutout, and then they're like, you know what, cost effectively, let's just update our logo appropriately, and did that. So that was great. And then I come to find out there's another layer. Okay, so this is just an example of how often the advertising department within a business has to be up on things and change things so many times. It's probably a blank. Yeah. So they had a blank because underneath all of those, it actually showed they got the parts from Walmart. Yeah. So it was just kind of funny because it was a business helping another business out, and then here we are. We also were able to help out the world of Wally as well. So just updating, your advertisement pieces goes a long way. So we will do that today too, but also the handles.
Yeah, I don't know how we're going to do that.
You can buy them, but
yeah. Anyway, so what other forms of advertising? signage, obviously, so billboard is one of them. And we do that. Centerville has several buildings, but Centerville is lucky because they're close to I-70, and that's where you see billboards is on the interstate mostly. So those definitely help pull people in off of the interstate, and we hear that all the time. Like, oh my gosh, there's how many signs? But we wouldn't stop if we wouldn't have seen all these signs. So then Gary, especially Gary, I know some of those girls do it too up there. We encourage them to is we send them down here because that is one of our ways also of advertising for people that are traveling and people that like to go antiquing and shopping do love to travel. They'll make weekends of it, and that's just part of their fun. So we want to make sure they know about our little community and this area because it's very difficult to put a billboard on I-70 for that far away. It's like an hour drive. We did have one last year, the end of last year was the end of it. The previous year we had a billboard for, Spoke, right outside of Slime. So we only paid for that one for it was just a year. It didn't create as much as we even had hoped. Maybe we should have picked a different area. I'm not sure. You just never know. But if you don't try, you never will. Right? So, and just like being online, social media, the first time you do something, you don't have the followers, you don't have people, you don't have, you don't know if it's even working. So the more you do something consistently, the more people you attract to your store, your business, your aesthetic, whatever people are attracted to.
Which you talked about billboards, and we went from Facebook and like your general Google searches for a lot of technology to help us with our advertising. We jumped to billboards, which is that free?
Oh, Lord.
So billboards are probably one of the most expensive forms of advertisement, but they are effective in certain areas, in certain locations. So you don't even want to know how much they cost.
No.
But they are helpful or we wouldn't continue them. So we do use those forms of advertising in our specific location that is useful for.
Right.
And then like you said, using the free word of mouth once they've stepped foot in that place and say, hey, you're only 48 minutes away from our second location. Go ahead and do that. So advertising not only starts with technology, but also with our employees and our customers and our vendors to really put out there who we are, what we are, when we are.
Right. And word of mouth is one of the best
one of the
forms
best
of, because you're saying something good about something that you enjoy, and hopefully you spread the word.
Yeah. We also use Google review.
So I'm not sure what's going on. We were Google's top thing, but then we changed it. So I'm not sure what.
You're still on there as a Google search, but you can review us online. That was my point. Where reviews from customers, again, word of mouth, help the advertising piece too. So we're using that form of technology and advertising as far as giving a review. That's always good. It's even great for us to use as far as improvements go, and it also kind of lets us know what their experience was when they were here, like that day, because it's insight on our employees and so on as well.
Right.
And another form of advertisement, which I think is very similar to podcasting, is radio.
Right.
When we do use radio advertisements, especially locally, with WPGW here in town, which we hope to continue to be able to do that. They're under new ownership as well. So radio is expensive too. Not as much locally as it is as far as, more of a national broadcasted channel, which we've looked into as well, and very comparable to billboarding.
Yeah.
So we try to find our cheapest outlets first, which obviously anyone would. But Facebook definitely is one of our main pieces. And then the creation of signage we use.
Another thing that Gary and I talked about is if we had, that when we had a white van, we wanted to get a wrap put on with both of them on them. So we're still looking into doing that too. So that would be nice.
Yeah, mobile advertising. I've talked to you too about, I've seen on different vehicles where they'll have the window sticker that has a QR code.
Oh yeah.
So therefore you're not, so it will have the name and have the name of your company, your address, whatever. So you're kind of capturing the 60 to 80-year-olds because they're able to just say, there's Mill and Spoke Antique Mall, Portland, Indiana. I know where that is. Then there's a QR code attached to it. And that's another way technology is very friendly and helpful, which you're probably capturing those 60 and under who are understanding a QR code. But simply any individual walking past your vehicle would be able to pull up their phone, open their camera, depending on if they're iPhone or Android, how that works, and scan that. And it directly would link you to whatever that QR code is online that you want it to. So if we wanted it to go straight to our website, it could do that. If we wanted it to go straight to Facebook page, we could do that. If we wanted it to go straight to some kind of community events, whatever we want it to do, it would link straight to that platform, which is really cool.
It is. I remember when it started.
Yeah.
Doing the QR code. It's been several years already.
Yeah.
But I thought it was a neat thing to do. Another way that we advertise is our events, obviously. When we have the events we use social media to advertise, and we use every form of advertising. The posters, signs, the vinyls, and social media. Just like our flea market Saturdays, we have to put that online every other week, or hopefully this week I'll do a little bit more than I did last time. That's the thing. You have to remember to do these things. It's not like, it just happened by.
Yeah, and then learning what your best time for advertisement is. So you can use your technology statistics to learn when your viewers are viewing your page, if you're focusing more on Facebook. There's a lot of different insights that you can find on there that we try to communicate to our vendors so they're understanding for that as well. But it's a very hard thing because it's constantly changing, constantly updating rules, regulations, different things that you can do and not do, different statistics that you can see and not see. So it changes all the time, which is good. You don't want to get involved with something that's stagnant. Same in a business. You don't want to be involved in a business that just says, this is great, this is good enough. Here we are. This will do it, and we're not going to change anything. Because that means that they're not.
Could you imagine being like
some things I wish. But no, because why would you do it? There's no point in doing what you're doing if you're not focusing on what you can do better all the time.
Exactly, because you always get involved.
The way things look, the way things are advertised, the way that you handle employee relations, the way that you handle customer relations, different events and opportunities that we do. We did a podcast where we said, we started here and now we're like 4 events a year, or 5 events a year in. We just added another new one this year. And so it's just different things. And we go back to stay on topic today of technology being our focal point. We use the technology every single day, every minute to increase revenue in some way or another. So whether in revenue, not even talking dollars, we're talking revenue in experience, revenue in, because that all relates back to revenue in dollars. So you're talking about how can we focus on what's the best way to advertise, the best way to communicate, the best way to grow the business in general for the customers. So we always are thinking about the best experience for the customer, every decision that we make.
That's true.
So, right down to new parts.
Yeah.
That we're going to update the advertisement on.
Because those old ones were pretty wicked.
Yeah, because that experience For some, maybe the experience that they never come back for.
Absolutely.
They
Right?
had a cart that had a wobbly wheel. They only had carts that were small. They only had 3 carts available.
Right.
All those negative things reflect the way a customer views your business. So, I mean, we even recently did the bathrooms this year, because why not?
Why not?
If you're going to
Give them an
reflect your
experience.
entire business on certain values and certain ways you want things to leave with, and I don't know what your value is, but my value for the experience of the customer is to leave with a thought of a memory or a story in mind that makes them want to come back. So whether it was the really cool bathroom, whether it was the aisleways are nice and wide, whether it was always constantly improving things, whether it was they had an entire year mapped out of what events they had, whether it was how clean things were organized, whatever it may be, or whatever bad experience may have been. We use all that feedback every day.
Every day. Mm-hmm. That's how you do this, regardless of what kind of business it is. That's how you have to evaluate.
You have to look at it that way. Yeah. And sometimes I think a lot of business ownership, you can get so hung up in the fact of numbers and worrying about this or that and whatnot. But if we're not starting at the customer base and their experience that the customers have, and in this specific business, I always kind of relate the customers and vendors into one chunk, because you can't have the business without the vendors. You can't have the customers without the vendors. So, how do you improve vendor, vendor relations? The same way, how do you improve your customer relations too? So that should always be our number one priority for sure. And we constantly use technology to improve that. So,
okay.
Anything else? I know it's 1:45, but I don't know what else to talk about.
Technology.
Yeah. So we have next month, July 23rd, we have Ladies' Night.
1 month away.
And we use technology to advertise that. It's been posted on our events page. It should have been.
Posted it,
and we have a large banner out front that says that.
And we've been handing out flyers for a couple months already.
So generally speaking, when we have an event, we try to communicate online as early as possible, because it's the easiest and free way. And also, if we need to make some kind of change, which is still changeable at that point. But once it's in paper, in black and white. So that's when advertising becomes a little bit more solid and a little bit harder sometimes and more expensive and so on. Especially because you not wasted, but you made that purchase, you've advertised that piece, and now you got to throw it out. Usually has a date on it, usually has a time on it, so you're talking $200 to $300 for a banner per se, and it's done after it's over, which is fine. But if you don't get it out there in a time and manner, you've wasted money for sure. So we always try to look for the free outposts of things, but that doesn't always reach everybody.
No.
So you want to make sure you're getting to everybody in different ways.
Not everybody's into technology, are they?
No, and there's no reason why they have to be.
That's not their thing.
No, but even the advertisements, like we do in different events. So like right now, I did an advertisement for Jay County Fair for their booklet. We're talking a square, and that's expensive too, but it's important to support the community. So you do those types of things.
And you don't the same thing to track an show and several different small advertising outlets.
Community events, but those things, it all goes down to those types of things. Calendars that you might receive, different things in the mail that you get that have coupons in it. We've done those things before. All types of different forms of advertisement, if you can imagine, that are out there. There's all kinds of options. It just all depends on what's best for your business. Mm-hmm. And did you research the right way to make that choice? Because it is an expensive piece of your business.
So if you're a vendor and you put for your space for business, what would you tell them to do what? Same thing? Because some people, that's their livelihood. They have, 5 or 6 places they have.
I would say if you're in more than one spot of this kind of business as far as being a vendor, you better for shit be advertising the hell out of yourself because that's a lot of investment. That's a lot of time. I mean, we have vendors in here who spend days upon restocking and re-merchandising and re-tagging and bringing in new things and cleaning, and which is great because that's what we want and that's what keeps going, keeps us moving in the world of antique mall shopping. And it's so hard. And I'm going to ramble backwards, but I don't think any antique mall truly is just an antique mall anymore. It's more antique collectibles, treasures, and so on. But if you're not advertising even on one space, it's going to be hard for you.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard for you.
Make it worth your time.
And if you are not talented in the department of advertising, the best thing you can do is share what somebody else has already posted.
That's true.
If you don't know what you're doing, and that's 100% fine, because not everybody is creative in the mind of how do I have words to describe what I want to say, to show what I have, the value of. And we have lots of vendors in here who just can't do that and have some amazing pieces. So we do try to help out quite a bit when it comes to that. But the best thing you can do is share that business's post, whether it's your stuff or not. It's now brought customers into the place that has been advertised, and they will eventually see your items as well.
They always look everywhere, not just one spot.
Yeah.
Somebody comes in for something they saw online. No, I'm just going to that booth.
And the one thing we encourage, we have just recently encouraged, is advertising within each space. So, Anthea had mentioned, if you think of your space as a store, which we really want you to as a vendor, we encourage you to come up with some kind of signage for your space. Yeah. Yeah. So there's one in front of us. It's Space 47. She's vendor 999, and her booth name is Nines No.
Yeah.
So very creative, very good. It's got the sign reflects the types of items she has in it. Mm-hmm. We have one to the left, the bric-a-brac and beyond, crochet and keepsake. Okay, very, very nice sign on the back wall there. There's old time antiques, and they have old time antiques. It
makes it fun too.
Yeah,
I mean, it makes it fun when you're going through the mall or any mall, and there's actually store names for each little areas.
It also helps the customer have that experience with your space,
and then remember a name.
Right.
And
right. You are advertising for your space. Again, we talked about at the beginning of this. Seeing your logo, making it imprint into the customer's head, get them to come back. Okay. So they remembered it. Even when they go home, and this happens all the time, they go home and now they're going to call us or they're going to email us and be like, I was in this space and I should have bought it, or I was with so-and-so and they really liked it. Can you hold it back for me? Those types of things. Now that customer can really know, like it helps us know what you're talking about. So advertising within each space and in this kind of business is also something.
We're talking about technology in advertising. What's new in technology in advertising that we've recently started using? AI.
Oh, tell. I think the world of AI is controversial.
It is very controversial.
I would say it's very scary.
Yeah, because it feels like somebody's invading your privacy.
They are. But it is very helpful. We have used AI, and I will say one thing about AI or ChatGPT in particular. Can we get a little bit more unique?
Oh, geez. Maybe you should be on that.
I'm gonna call them out a bit, because now I'm scrolling through, and I know not everybody thinks this way, but I do, and I know exactly who used it and who did not, which is fine. I also think it kind of creates a little bit more of a lazy environment for people, because I think you should still put your heart and soul into what you post. or advertise or say or have to say. I mean, come on, don't just ask them to give you an answer. I saw something online like, hey, I graduated college without ChatGPT. But
that's part of technology.
that is part of technology, and that is fine. But I cannot stand seeing the constant advertisements out there where people say, ChatGPT, create a poster for me for my event, okay, or my sale or my item, and it looks identical. It's the same kind of colors that they use on everybody's thing. It looks like some cartoon creation.
Yeah.
I get using it once or twice is great, but now I'm seeing it constant, and guess what? As a viewer, you've now not looked at it at all because you've seen that type of image so many times. It doesn't stop you in your tracks. It works for a week and that's it. So don't get focused on using certain tools or certain ways that you advertise, because the viewer, who your audience you're trying to capture, will get tired.
Yeah.
Will not look at it. You know, like for a long time, it was just words that were advertised with. And they said, use pictures. It'll capture so many more people. Now people just scroll past pictures. Now use a video. It'll help, which still is the truth. But I always say too, and it's different for Angie or myself, because she was like, I never look at the stories.
No,
and I'm like, I never look at the page. So, you know, like on the top of some platforms, there is, you know, get involved and you scroll like 5 posts down, and then there's a section across that are different reels and videos. And you've gotten wrapped up in that, and now you've only read 3 posts, and you've been online for 3 hours.
And you forgot what you started doing.
And you didn't remember any advertising. I mean, because now you're in videos. So, videos. If you can do it, if the stupider you can be, the better.
We're just not stupid.
Think for yourself. No. Yeah, the more real you can be, but in a way that captivates audience to keep listening. That's hard for us.
So did you use AI when you did Dawson's birthday poster?
I did not.
Thank you. No. But I didn't think you did.
No, I don't use it that often. I did it like for our podcast, Brass Knobs and Back Talk logo. I used AI, but then I hated it, so I created my own.
Which sometimes it helps.
It gave me an idea, but I completely changed it. But it does give you an idea, and I think that's the purpose of it. It wasn't created to say, "Here, I'm going to take over your mind."
Right?
Maybe it was, but it's there to help you, push you into more creative outlets, options, and so on. So the best way to use something like that would be to can you give me some ideas? Mm-hmm. How do I build upon this idea? I mean, we ran into today. It's really Google. Yeah. Honestly, it's Google in a more quickly responsive way to give you pictures with Google. Because you can ask it anything. You can ask Google. And before Google, you could ask Jeeves.
I forgot about that. Jeeves.
Ask Jeeves. And Britannica.
Oh, God. Britannica.
And Yahoo. So anyways.
Big surprise.
I'm not sure. Big surprise there. Probably about us being stupid and nothing. Anyways, so that's today's episode as a wrap up on technology for the most part, how we use it, and mainly how we use it in advertising, different ways we can continue to use it and improve our ways to use technology, especially in advertising.
Do you folks have ideas that you want us to talk about? Please let us know.
We are going to start interviewing some of our vendors.
Right. Someone that has really great knowledge on something that we have, that people would be interested in, we could call them and say, hey, would you be interested in being part of our podcast?
Yeah.
Because,
and eventually we're going to get into the world of collaborating with some like-minded businesses in the area and surrounding, and kind of do some off-grid things with them. Not always just sitting here and talking about certain things, but that's the podcast. So, tomorrow, the goal is to be live for a live sale at 3, Wednesday at 3. You can join us for a walk around the mall and shop online since it's extremely hot out. Actually, what is today? Yeah, tomorrow I think is the last day the heat warning is out. And then it drops for one day and then it's back for storms and extra hot days. But since it's really hot out, you can shop from your chair on your device. And
You can pick it up at your leisure.
yeah, we're just
Or we
going to
can send it to you.
pick up what we think is really cool. So join us at 3 tomorrow. Join us next Tuesday again at 1 for our podcast on a whole nother topic.
All right. Thanks for joining us, guys.